Welcome, all you sinners and sodomites, to episode 48 of Bible Stories for Atheists. I am Josh.
I'm Linz.
And we are your guides to the sacredly savage stories, literally, literarily, littering the Bible. So we're continuing on with the Book of Judges.
Yes, and we go on a fun little adventure.
Yes.
Today.
Mm-hmm.
And Josh tries out some new voices.
It wasn't really.
Be prepared for that.
Yeah.
Let us know what you think.
Yeah.
I'm genuinely interested in how people will react to it.
Yeah.
I went back and forth during the whole time. There were times where I was like, this is awesome. And there were times where, like, my husband, oh my God.
Yeah, I could tell. It was clear from your face.
Well, was that because of your voices or because of Samson?
Yeah.
It's hard to discern.
Right. Yes, it was hard to discern. Yeah, it was I don't know. Both were pretty bad. Let's be honest. But I kind of feel like it adds a little flavor to it. You gotta fucking try and make this interesting.
Sure.
So, that's what we're going for.
More so for you than anybody else.
Yeah. For me. Oh, you. I thought you were saying to like the audience. Oh, no, it's just you. Me. It's just for me.
Gotta make it interesting for yourself.
Yeah. So yeah, we're continuing on the Book of Judges. This is part 3, and then I guess that's all there is to say. That's all there is to say. We as we get into, we had to do this a couple times.
Yeah.
So,
all of that is in the whole podcast.
Yeah. So we're just kind of ready to be done recording.
This is it.
We're just kind of.
It's done.
We're done with recording at this point. We're just done.
So say the thing.
Yeah.
Josh, you are the guy that says the thing.
And yet again, I have to remind myself, after almost 2 fucking years of doing this, I have to still remind myself what the line is. So strap in and strap on for episode 48.
30 things
I
hate
found
about you.
31
now.
Just a little bit.
I feel like I'm starting to perhaps go through milady changes.
Oh, really?
Because I feel like I'm just fucking hot no matter what.
Oh, really?
And I don't know if it's like hot flashes. It's not to the point where like I'm sweating, like I'm waking up like in a crazy sweat, but like everybody else at work will be cold and I'll be sitting there with a fan. Like, it's fucking hot in here. I don't know what you guys are talking about. So either...
Maybe I'm going through my lady changes. I've been going through them for quite a while.
Either I'm having blood pressure issues or my uterus is going to stop working. Fucking finally.
Finally, it's going to turn off.
Fucking finally. I wish we had a switch. We could just be like, no thanks. I don't need to use you anymore.
Yeah, why didn't you come up with that, God? So it's been a while since we recorded.
Yeah.
So yeah, we started recording yesterday, got about 10 minutes in, and then lost everything.
Yep.
First time that's ever happened. So then we started again and got about an hour in and lost everything.
Yeah. So if we're not as funny in the first bit of the podcast, it's because we've done this already. And sometimes it's just hard to have the same reactions you had the first go round. Here's your disclaimer. Don't you love starting a podcast, listening to a podcast where they have to disclaimer everything first?
Right.
FYI, this one might be really shitty, but here's why. Don't stop listening to us. Yeah. We promise it's just a fluke.
What bugged me is it was really good yesterday. Like we actually were firing on all cylinders. And then now today it's Monday. So we worked all day. So we'll see. It'll be fine.
Everything will be fine. It'll be fine.
It'll be fine.
Fine. It's fine.
It's fine. The confessional is open. Not trying to give these folks a platform, but a lot of folks listening to us might get reactions like this from people in their lives. So I thought we would tell you about this negative feedback we got, and you could see how we react to it. And that's literally all that, like, I'm not planning on, like, if this is literally the first negative feedback I think directly we've gotten.
Right. I think it's funny that we're sharing it and like, here's how we're reacting to it, but we've also had some time. So like,
and also done this twice already. Yeah, this is our third time doing this.
It's like, I don't even remember what my initial reaction was, but I'm pretty sure it was probably like, stupid cunt.
We don't know this was a woman, but it doesn't matter.
Listen, don't be a sexist asshole. A cunt can be anybody, Josh.
That's true. That's fair. That's fair. There are a lot of guys who are cunts.
There are a lot of guys who are cunts.
Yeah. So anyway, this is what this user said on Spotify. You obviously can't discern the Bible and spend more time mocking it than anything. Please end this podcast and look yourself in the mirror before you do foolish things like this in your downtime. Yeah. So I appreciate that they kept it short and sweet.
Yes. And for negative feedback.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't tell us to die. They didn't tell us to kill ourselves.
No.
They didn't tell us we were going to burn in hell. I mean, for our podcast, I feel like that sort of negative feedback is actually like pretty low key.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, what the unfortunate thing is that it was on the first episode, and I kind of was just like, yeah, but you got to give us a few episodes,
right?
Like we got better with time.
Yeah,
not that you would think we were better, but you got to judge us based on like how well we do later,
right? And listen, just a helpful tip to anybody who might be starting our podcast with this episode and into the Bible like hardcore, like it's a Bible podcast that's explicit.
Yeah, it's set to explicit.
It's probably not for you.
Yeah,
probably not. I'm just gonna say it's probably not for you.
Right.
And I hate the assumption that they don't think I don't already look myself in the mirror before I do something foolish.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't think I look bad doing it.
Right. Yeah. I think it's ridiculous that they went after us for it, but they're not like calling out anything specific of like what we were talking about. Like, this is actually what this means or anything like that, know? They're just like upset about it and they're venting.
Well, and they think that we can't identify the Bible. I mean, that's basically what they're saying.
Discerning. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we identified it.
Yeah, we did identify what the Bible was.
We identify it every single time we do this podcast.
Right.
We know what the Bible is.
Now, if you don't like how we interpret it,
that's a whole different thing.
That's different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't need to waste my time telling somebody that I think that they suck. Now, if we were face to face.
I really do want to know how long into the episode it took for them to be like, oh, they don't know how to discern the Bible.
Right. Right. I'm going to have to go back and re-listen and be like, I think it was here. It's probably the fifth time I said the word dick or cock or grunt or shit or fuck or... None of those words are in the Bible.
Yeah. The only swear word is ass.
Yep.
Yeah. And hell.
I thought hell...
And Jesus Christ. The next one we've got is from a listener named Katie. She said, I just recently discovered your podcast and have been binging it from the beginning. As a former Christian, I love and appreciate how Linz reacts to some parts of these stories. I'm definitely a lot like Josh in how I view the Bible, so I very much appreciated the biblical history episode. I'm super excited to see how Linz reacts to some of the more problematic stories in the Bible. And then it says in parentheses here, I haven't even checked to see if you've covered Job yet, LOL, which we have.
Yep.
And she says, I'm hooked.
Yeah.
Thanks, Katie.
Thanks, Katie. My gut instinct reaction to that is like the more problematic parts of the Bible.
Yeah, we have yet to cover a part of the Bible that isn't problematic in some way.
Yeah. There was a lot in the first couple episodes where I was like,
yeah. They cut off all their dick skins
in
that whole town, and then they slaughtered them?
And they slaughtered them all. But anyway, thanks for listening, Katie.
Yeah, absolutely. And then finally, we got one from Casey. Guys, ...
Guys.
I found you simply by looking for Bible stories. I just wanted to go over some old classics without the work, LOL. Now, I wouldn't consider myself an atheist exactly, but I thought, what the hell? Boy, ... I wasn't expecting to get even more than what I thought I wanted.
Yeah.
An objective and unbiased, thorough read through of actual scripture. I've listened to every episode from your start, and I have one more before I'm caught up, which is very sad. More importantly, I'm left with disbelief. I retell my wife all the things I learned from your episodes, and the what the actual fucks are all plentiful.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm confused and disappointed that I had been fed such bullshit all my life. Thank you both for what you're doing. Though it's totally blowing my mind, it's also opening it. That's scary and beautiful. Thanks again. Thank you, Casey.
Thanks, Casey.
That's really nice. I love that you're like sharing it with your wife too. And
yeah. I don't know the dynamic there. I mean, they said that they're not technically atheists, but perhaps not.
Consider yourself spiritual or something like that.
Yeah, agnostic. I don't know. But I wonder what the wife believes. Because is it a situation where like she has no idea like I do going into it, and like hearing it is like literally like, what the fuck? People believe this shit?
Right.
It's crazy. So,
I know. Yeah.
I like hearing those from people. So, it's nice to hear all the different ways people are coming at the podcast and where they started and what they're getting from it and who they're sharing it with and stuff like that.
And I love that we have listeners who aren't atheists too.
Yeah.
Or don't consider themselves to be atheists, like besides my mom.
Right. Right. There are Christians who listen to us, but like get it. Like I appreciate them because we've said from the start, like we're not trying to attack Christianity. Like believe whatever you want to believe, but like also maybe realize, and I assume if you're listening to this podcast, you do, that like the basis for this religion is insane. Right. Yeah. That's the thing that we really have ended up, we weren't setting out to do anything really necessarily with this besides like just laugh at some crazy stories. But really what this has turned into is it's all about the Bible is so clearly not perfect. Right. But there's this notion that has gotten into the zeitgeist, especially in the US, that the Bible is flawless. Right. It is perfect. Thanks again, Casey. And everybody. Closed. Confessional's closed. Everyone do 10 Hail Marys. That's your homework. The confessional is closed. "30 asses for 30 sons." Don't act like you are surprised by that. I'm not. No, that's why I didn't react. I think the first time I was like, ooh, sexy. Yeah. Just so you know, that's what her first reaction was. Yeah. We're going to be talking a lot about Philistines in this episode. Yeah. There's two different pronunciations for this, Philistine or Philistine. Apparently, as you'll hear in the readings, I pronounce it both ways. So it's fun when you can't pick a path. But both, I'm pretty sure both are technically correct. It's just sure, whatever you want to believe. Yeah. I mean, that's the whole point of the Bible, right? The whole point, yeah. Judges 10 starts out with filling in some gaps between Abimelech, who we talked about in the last episode, and our next main judge with all these other judges who apparently did not do anything interesting enough to warrant their own full stories. Mm-hmm. One of which was someone named Tola, son of Pua, son of Dodo. And I just really liked their name. Yeah, it's fun to watch you say them. Yeah. It was even funner when I was like just sitting alone writing my Tola, son of Pua, son of Dodo. Can you just say them normal? Tola, Pua, Dodo. You can't even do it. You made it through two, and then you're like, I can't say Dodo normal. Dodo. Dodo.
I think that's the proper pronunciation. Oh, God
Dodo.
damn it. Dodo. Dodo. Dodo? Is that better? Dodo?
I think it's just Dodo, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you want to be boring about it. Another one was Jair, who had 30 sons who rode 30 donkeys and had 30 towns. And then they point out that Jair was a Gileadite and lived in Gilead. You might remember that name from Handmaid's Tale. That's the name that the Christian nationalists in that show / book named the United States. Anyway, and so then we get this. The Israelites again did what was evil in the sight of the Lord, serving the Baals and the Astartes, the gods of Amram, the gods of Sidon, the gods of Moab, the gods of the Ammonites, and the gods of the Philistines. Thus they abandoned the Lord and did not worship him. So the anger of the Lord was kindled against Israel, and he sold them into the hand of the Philistines and into the hand of the Ammonites, and they crushed and oppressed the Israelites that year. For 18 years they oppressed all the Israelites who were beyond the Jordan. The Ammonites also crossed the Jordan to fight against Judah and against Benjamin and against the house of Ephraim, so that Israel was greatly distressed. So the Israelites cried to the Lord, saying, "We have sinned against you, because we have abandoned our God and have served the Baals." And the Lord said to the Israelites, "Did I not deliver you from the Egyptians and from the Amorites, from the Ammonites and from the Philistines? The Sidonians also, and the Amalekites and the Maonites oppressed you, and you cried to me, and I delivered you out of their hand. Yet you have abandoned me and served other gods. Therefore I will deliver you no more. Go and cry to the gods whom you have chosen. Let them deliver you in the time of your distress." And the Israelites said to the Lord, "We have sinned. Do to us whatever seems good to you, but deliver us this day." So they put away the foreign gods from among them and served the Lord, and he could no longer bear to see Israel suffer.
It's like if your parents are divorced, right? And you have the one parent that you live with.
Yeah.
And then you have the parent that you go see on the weekend. So this is different than your situation.
I mean, it was totally my situation when I was younger.
A period of time. But imagine like if the parent you went and saw on the weekend was like trying to make up for the fact that they abandoned you by being really fun.
Oh, yeah,
right?
yeah.
So different than your situation.
Right.
So when you come back to your house, all you can talk about was how much fun you had with the parent that doesn't actually take care of you, just has to entertain you for about 24 hours.
Right.
So you come home and you're like, Mom, guess what Dad did?
You're assuming this is the dad.
He took me to the carnival and I rode on a pony. And then the mom's like, "Yeah, but like, I make sure
I got your backpack."
Yeah. Yeah. I wash your clothes.
Right.
Yeah. When you pee all over the toilet seat, I clean it up.
Right.
But your dad's
it's a weird
awesome.
thing for a girl to do.
If your dad's so great, why don't you go live with your dad then?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what it feels like. This God has gotten himself into this situation.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a weird toxic relationship, like we were saying the other day. I really like what we said the other day, how it was like Johnny Depp and Amber Heard.
Yeah, where they're neither of them are great.
Yeah, neither of them are great. They kind of like should never have been together, but they also kind of deserve each other, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, you guys obviously have something.
Right.
You know?
Right. What is so appealing about the other gods that people that they keep going back to them? Like, what is going on over there that they keep being drawn back?
They just love the balls.
They love the balls.
They love the balls.
Love serving the balls.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah. They're just, I don't know, maybe Yahweh's just not round and squishy enough. There's only one of him. There's not two of them. Although I guess technically there's three, but they're all in one. God is a 3-balled ball sack.
I feel like you're overcomplicating the metaphor.
Yes. Yeah, I know. So the armies on both sides, the Ammonites and the Israelites, gather at Gilead, and the Israelites are like, who will lead us? He will be head over all Gilead. And that's my Israelite accent.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's special.
I didn't even mean to do it again.
I know. As you started it, I was like, because we did. So you guys are probably going to hear like quite a bit, at least for a little bit of like, remember what you said the other to this recording? But literally, like Josh was doing this accent, and I was like, "What are you doing? What accent is that?" And so when you did it just now, I was like, "Is he doing this on purpose?"
It's not really. It's just like
it's just your default.
This is just people's talking. Who will lead us? How else do you say that? It's such a ridiculous line. Who will lead us?
I don't just like in
who will lead us? That's
sure
better.
Yeah.
All right. I'll do that for next time.
When we have to do this a fourth time?
Yeah.
Okay. You might be doing that one on your own.
I would imagine. Yeah. We're just skipping judges. We're just going past it. God apparently doesn't want us to talk about it. Been cool about everything else. Judges is where he's drawing the line.
Yeah. He realizes what a shitty relationship he was in, and he doesn't really want people talking about it.
I don't want to rehash this shit.
You heard I said how many times I saved them, and I kept going back. What the fuck was wrong with me?
I just love those balls. Anyway, then that was chapter 10, which was a pretty short chapter.
Yep.
Chapter 11, we're introduced to our next judge, Jephthah.
Jephthah.
Yeah, so it's spelled Jephthah.
Yeah, we're just going to call him Jeff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeff.
Yeah.
Now, Jephthah, the Gileadite, the son of a prostitute, was a mighty warrior. Gilead was the father of Jephthah. Gilead's wife also bore him sons. And when his wife's sons grew up, they drove Jephthah away, saying to him, "You shall not inherit anything in our father's house, for you are the son of another woman." Then Jephthah fled from his brothers who lived in the land of Tob. Outlaws gathered around Jephthah and went raiding with him. His father is Gilead.
Yep. From Gilead.
Yeah. And
Gilead from Gilead.
Yeah. But we also talked about the previous judge being Jair.
From Gilead.
Yeah. Who also was living in Gilead, and he had 30 sons in 30 towns in Gilead. And he reigned 22 years as judge before he died. So it seems like an inconsistency, and there's a few other things here, like
or he's named Gilead because his parents fucked in Gilead and had him, and they were like, "What are we gonna name him?" And the dad's like, "Well, we fucked in Gilead. Why don't we just name him Gilead?"
Yeah. Except his kids are in control of the whole land.
Sure.
So it'd be really weird if he's just named for the land, but like it's not actually named after him.
Right.
It's probably supposed to actually be named after him, and this is another inconsistency
possibly
in the writing. But so yeah, in the next paragraph, the elders of Gilead go to Jephthah and ask him to be their commander fighting the Ammonites. Jephthah is like, "Weren't you the ones who kicked me out? Why should I help you?"
So his brothers are the elders? Is that who?
No, I don't think they're. I'm not sure. They weren't very clear about if this is his brothers.
I feel like I was confused about this last time because there's no gap in between. He was the son of a prostitute. His half brothers were like, "Your mom's a prostitute. You can't be here anymore." So he left, found himself in the company of raiders, which was awesome.
Right.
Why don't we get more of that story?
Yeah.
And then the next thing is now the elders are coming back to him to ask him to be their commander. But why him? Is it because he's an awesome raider? Where is that story?
Right. Yeah. No, that's a good question.
Indiana Jones? Is he like Han Solo?
Is he the raider for the Lost Ark?
Is he like some other character played by fucking what's his name?
Harrison Ford.
Where he was
the president. Air Force One. They go back and forth, and he's like, "Fine, I'll command you. And if the Lord lets us win against the Ammonites, I'll be your head." And they agree to that. So
it's got to be his brothers. They had to have realized that he's the best one of them.
It definitely sounds like it was his brothers, and they might have said it. It's been a little bit now since I've actually read it.
I mean, I know you don't have any siblings, but it really, like, in my head, I'm like, if this were a scenario where, like, my brothers chased me away and then they were begging me to come back, I would totally be like, okay, but you have to eat dirt first.
Yeah.
Or something. Like, these would be all the things they...
I like how you pick, like, instinctively, your first reaction is, like, a little kid thing to do. Like, you have to eat dirt.
Oh, yeah, because when it comes to your siblings, you never grow up.
No,
You always want to, like, make them pay for something they did to you in the past, even if it was forever ago. Eat dirt? I don't think that my brother ever made me... My little brother never made me do anything because he poor kid. But but my older brother, he was not a great older brother, and definitely had my share of childhood trauma thanks to him.
Yeah.
So if he came back to me and was like, I need you to do this for me, I'd be like, I don't know, why don't you go stand out in your underwear in the snow?
Yeah. Right.
Think about what you've done.
Yeah. And then I'll lead you.
And if God's on our side and we win, then I'll lead you forever.
Right.
But if he's not on our side and we lose, I guess
You're on your own. You're on your own. I'm going to go back to raiding.
Yeah.
Then Jephthah sent messengers to the king of the Ammonites and said, "What is there between you and me, that you have come to me to fight against my land?" The king of the Ammonites answered the messengers of Jephthah, "Because Israel, on coming up from Egypt, took away my land. Now, therefore, restore it peaceably." So the whole issue the Ammonites have is that the Israelites, when they left Egypt, took their land from them.
Right.
But it's been quite a while.
It's been a couple hundred years.
Yeah.
Yeah. 300 or so, I think.
I don't know exactly how we just don't know exactly how long it's been up to this point. Cause you could add up all the judges, but we don't know if they're like overlapping each other in certain areas and stuff like that.
Well,
too.
You could add up the time in between the judges and then the time the judges ruled. And then, but all the time before that with, what's his fuck?
Joshua.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, you forgot his name. You're looking right at it, Josh.
I prefer to think of you as the only Josh that exists in this world.
Aw, that's hard. There's a lot of Joshes out there.
No, there's not.
Every time you talk to another Josh, you just assume it's me.
Yeah.
God, hopefully they're not assholes. Jephthah sends a response explaining the route that the Israelites took and the interactions they had along the way with the king of Edom, Moab, and Ammon.
Oh, you mean how they whooped all of their asses?
Basically, yeah. And it's a very long and boring thing. But if anybody out there feels like going on a fun fact-checking expedition, you can take a look at this paragraph and see if it's accurate with Exodus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. I just didn't feel like doing that, going down that road. I really am glad I didn't after having to do this a few times. Jephthah wraps up the message by saying that Yahweh gave them these lands. Shouldn't you possess the lands that your God, Chemosh, gave you? We've been in this area 300 years. Oh, yeah. You're right.
Yeah.
Yep, 300. You remembered. That's weird.
I know.
The weird details you remember. Yeah. We've been in this area 300 years. Why didn't your people come here to take it back sooner? You're the one who is doing me wrong by making that. This is a paraphrase, by the way. You're the one who's doing me wrong by making war against me, but the Ammonite king doesn't listen to him.
Right.
I looked up Chemosh. He was the supreme deity of Moab. The 9th century BC, Moabite king Mesha wrote in his inscriptions that the Israelites had been able to subdue Moab because Chemosh was angry with his people. Oh, this is just what they tell everybody. It doesn't matter who the god is. They're going to tell everybody this.
We failed because God's mad at you guys.
Basic propaganda of having a god at this time is to just say they're mad, and that's why things failed.
At that time, I feel like that's still...
It's still today. But like...
I'm pretty sure that somebody famously said that that's why Hurricane Katrina happened.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, why 9/11 happened, why fucking anything
happens. Yeah. God's mad.
Well, it's Chemosh. That's who I think is mad now.
Oh.
That's who I'm going to say.
Okay.
From now on, when Katrina's happened, It's because of Chamos. Shamos. Chamos is mentioned in the Hebrew Bible, where he is wrongly called the god of the Ammonites at one point, although he is later correctly referred to as the god of Moab. So he's not the god of the Ammonites.
Right.
So that's,
another
mistake in the perfect Bible.
No wonder the king didn't listen, because he was like, this guy doesn't even know who my God is.
Right.
So Jeff was basically claiming squatters' rights.
Yeah.
Israel.
Yeah. Right. I've lived here for 300 years. You can't just kick me out now.
Right. Yeah, pretty much.
Then the Spirit of the Lord came upon Jephthah. And Jephthah made a vow to the Lord and said, if you will give the Ammonites into my hand, then whatever comes out of the doors of my house to meet me when I return victorious from the Ammonites shall be the Lord's, to be offered up by me as a burnt offering. So Jephthah crossed over to the Ammonites to fight against them, and the Lord gave them into his hand. He inflicted a massive defeat on them, 20 towns. So the Ammonites were subdued before the Israelites. You're never going to believe what happens.
So listen, let's think about this for a second.
Yeah.
Logically, let's prescribe this to modern times.
Right.
And you are Jeff, and you're fighting a battle, and you tell God, help me win, and I will sacrifice whatever comes out of the door to greet me when I get home. What do you think is going to come out of the door to greet you when you get home?
Well, hopefully it's going to be a cow.
Did you think Frodo is going to be the first thing out of the door to come
Our cat
see
Frodo?
You?
No, I would be really surprised if it was that.
I mean, there's two options.
Yeah.
You think a squirrel's going to come scurrying out of the front door?
Just get really lucky and it's like...
Oh, an ant.
Yeah.
The ant technically came out first. It's going to be a fucking person.
There, sacrifice to God.
You have to do a magnifying glass.
Oh, that's right. Burn sacrifice. Yeah.
It's going to be a person.
Yeah.
A, it's the most logical thing. B, why else would you say that in the story if it wasn't going to be a person? Like, if you think about the structure of the story.
Like, why wouldn't he just be like the first animal I come across or something like that?
Yeah. In order to make it an intriguing story, of course it's going to be a person.
Right.
Of course it is. One can only hope it's his least favorite person.
They're going to say like least favorite kid.
Sure.
I mean, that would be consistent with the Bible.
Whoever their least favorite person is.
Right.
Some of them have 30 kids. They have some to spare.
Right. Yeah.
That's probably why they had so many.
Right. You never know when God's going to want you to sacrifice one of them.
Right.
Then Jephthah came to his home, and there was his daughter coming out to meet him with timbrels and with dancing. She was his only child. He had no son or daughter except her. When he saw her, he tore his clothes and said, "Alas, my daughter, you have brought me very low. You have become the cause of great trouble to me, for I have opened my mouth to the Lord, and I cannot take back my vow." She said to him, "My father, if you have opened your mouth to the Lord, do to me according to what has gone out of your mouth, now that the Lord has given you vengeance against your enemies, the Ammonites." And she said to her father, "Let this thing be done for me. Grant me 2 months, so that I may go and wander the mountains and bewail my virginity, my companions and I." "Go," he said. And he sent her away for 2 months. So she departed, she and her companions, and bewailed her virginity on the mountains. At the end of 2 months, she returned to her father, who did with her according to the vow he had made. She had never slept with a man. So there arose an Israelite custom that for 4 days every year, the daughters of Israel would go out to lament the daughter of Jephthah, the Gileadite.
Tearing me apart, Lisa.
Oh, hi, Mark. Yeah, so every year the daughters of Israel would go out to lament the daughter of Jephthah, the Gileadite, who did not deserve her own name.
Yeah. And who went to the mountains to cry, hills, I guess.
Mountains. They say mountains.
To cry about being a virgin.
Yeah, with her
friends.
I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't read that and not hear she's going to go have a bunch of sex for 2 months. And then,
I mean, it does sound like they're going on like a vacation.
Yeah.
But I mean, they make sure to say that she's a virgin when she comes back.
They do. And the Bible can't be wrong.
Do you think that if she wasn't a virgin, that whole thing would have happened at all?
Like, let's say he makes that vow. She comes out
and she's like, I fucked a dude.
But she is not a virgin.
Right.
Yeah. Does she still get sacrificed?
Yeah. Or would they just cut this out of the Bible?
Probably. I think no matter what, she ends up dead though.
Yeah.
You know?
Fair. Also, like, isn't it like everybody's thing that it was okay for Joshua to do what he was doing? Because everybody else was sacrificing humans.
Yeah, so
babies sacrificing children.
Yeah, so the argument for why Joshua and the Israelites commit horrible atrocities according to these writings,
right,
is because the Canaanites were performing child sacrifice, which is not something that's really called out in the Bible, even, but that's just the answer that a lot of Christians
seems cool
give.
With it though.
God seems cool with it.
Yeah. He knew if he's an all-knowing God, he knew who was going to come out that door.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
He was pretty down with the human sacrifice.
Right. He could have made it so that she wasn't the person who came out. He could have interceded and said, "No, I don't care.
He could have said,
I'm an all-powerful God. I don't actually need you to kill anyone or anything for me."
Or, Jeff, you opened your mouth to me. That's all I really need.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just saying.
I've just been looking for somebody to open their mouth to me.
Just open your mouth to me. Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
this whole time, that's all I've been asking for.
She's upset. She's a virgin. She can open her mouth to me.
Ew.
That is really gross.
It was better when it was Jeff.
Yeah. Well, what's really bad too is like I don't know why.
Like, just kill her then. Don't.
Yeah. I don't know why I'm picturing her being like in her 20s or something like that. But honestly, that's probably not it.
No, she would be an old maid if she was at that.
I know she would. Yeah. Like we're probably talking about like a 12-year-old.
Yeah.
Or something
early teens.
Especially for somebody who's coming out with timbrels and dancing.
Yeah.
Like just because,
Like Esmeralda from the Hunchback of Notre Dame.
So for the next reading, just to give you a little bit of context, Gileadites supposedly descend from the tribe of Manasseh. Manasseh was one of Joseph's, as in the Technicolor Dreamcoat.
Yep.
One of Joseph's sons.
The stolen boy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Joseph was, yeah.
Yeah.
And Manasseh's brother was Ephraim. So Ephraimites and the Gileadites are distantly related in theory, like they're distantly related cousins or something. The men of Ephraim were called to arms, and they said to Jephthah, "Why did you cross over to fight against the Ammonites and did not call us to go with you? We will burn your house down over you." Jephthah said to them, "My people and I were engaged in conflict with the Ammonites who oppressed us severely. But when I called you, you did not deliver me from their hand. When I saw that you would not deliver me, I took my life in my hand and crossed over against the Ammonites, and the Lord gave them into my hand. Why then have you come up to me this day to fight against me?" Then Jephthah gathered all the men of Gilead and fought with Ephraim. And the men of Gilead defeated Ephraim because they said, "You are fugitives from Ephraim, you Gileadites, in the heart of Ephraim and Manasseh." Then the Gileadites took the fords of the Jordan against the Ephraimites. Whenever one of the fugitives of Ephraim said, "Let me go over," the men of Gilead would say to him, "Are you an Ephraimite?" When he said no, they said, "Then say Shibboleth." And he said Sibboleth, for he could not pronounce it right. Then they seized him and killed him at the fords of the Jordan. 42,000 of the Ephraimites fell at the time. Jephthah judged Israel 6 years. Then Jephthah the Gileadite died and was buried in his town in Gilead.
I'd be mad if I were Jeff too, because he had to burn his daughter.
Right.
And now these people are like, "You didn't invite us to come fight with you because we want what treasures you got from killing these people."
Right. Likely that's why they wanted in on it, was to steal the plunder also and stuff. Yeah. Yeah, so they're upset, and it sounded like he had reached out, and they chose not to do it anyway. So,
but now that they knew that he won,
now they want.
Now, in hindsight, they want it in.
Right.
So then they battled, and Jeff took the Jordan.
Yeah, the fords of the Jordan.
Yeah. So like the only way to get over, I guess, would be to cross that. So people would try to cross. Right. And the test was that you had to say this word. Shibboleth.
But likely because there was some sort of difference in dialect between the two tribes.
They could only say Sibboleth.
Yeah. They couldn't pronounce it right.
42,000 people died that way?
I don't know if I doubt it was from that. But you're right. Like it does actually sound like
it does.
That's a lot of people. Like, was there a line?
Right.
Were they just dumping them into the water after?
I feel bad for the first maybe couple hundred, but everyone after that, like you kind of knew what you
should have picked up on the pronunciation. Right. You should have been practicing.
Yeah. Also, there's just other there's other places to go.
Swim across. It'd be better. Yeah. This is a pretty common term, especially among Christian circles, is the term shibboleth to mean like a password or really like a way of proving yourself in some way.
Yeah.
This comes from
Christians to suss out actual Christians or to like
that's one way that it's been talked about.
Fakers.
Yeah. One of my favorite episodes of The West Wing is kind of structured all around this, where these immigrants were discovered coming from, I want to say China. I can't remember for sure, but it was an Asian country. They were like found in a shipping container or something like that. And they were Christian refugees. So obviously all the Christians in America are suddenly okay with immigrants. And they want to like welcome them in and everything, which is great,
Sure. Yeah.
But, the whole thing kind of ends up boiling down to like, how do you prove that you're actually Christian, or, are they just saying this type of thing? Are they actually going through religious persecution and stuff? And so, this comes up as a big thing in there is, they consider it a shibboleth.
Yeah.
That they have to.
I think Michigan should have a
shibboleth.
Passwords.
Yeah.
Keep out the Ohioans and the Wisconsinites.
What do you call a chicken pot pie? Is it not a pasty? Yeah.
Don't say pasty. Those goes on girls' titties.
Yeah.
How do you say Traverse City?
Yeah.
Traverse City?
Yeah.
No. You're get the fuck out of here.
Traverse City.
How do you say Grand Rapids? Grand Rapids? Nope.
Grand Rapids.
Nope. You're out. Get the fuck out.
There's no D in it.
Get back on that stupid boat. Go back to Wisconsin.
Right. So he only reigned as judge for 6 years. Then judges. Jeff.
For just 6 years?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they get shorter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then Judges 12 concludes by giving us a few more random judges, all of which reigned longer than Jeff, but not much longer. They were all 10 years or less.
Okay.
One of them had 30 sons and 30 daughters. Another one had 40 sons and 30 grandsons who rode 70 donkeys.
Yeah. It's weird that they keep bringing up how many donkeys they ride.
Yeah. By the way, we pointed this out last time, and I didn't point it out this time. 30 is a big number in this,
right?
And we're gonna keep hearing that number pop up again and again.
Yeah. Also, 30 is a lot of children to have, let alone 40,
60
or 60.
Yeah.
And like, there's got to be a multiple wife situation.
Oh yeah, we were talking about this. Yeah,
there's no way a woman's popping out 60 children and they're not just cracked, and her vagina's not just cracked in half, and babies are crawling out of it constantly.
She's doing triplets every year for 20 years.
That poor woman.
Yeah,
she'd have to keep having babies. I mean, if you believe the Bible, some of these people live to be like in their hundreds.
Yeah, and still had babies.
And still were popping out babies. Yeah. But, can you imagine? How do you keep track of that many kids? You can't.
You can't. You're not being a good dad to them.
No. No, they're raising each other at that point.
No, you're like a mythical figure in their life. You might as well be absent.
The fat one's watching the skinny one.
The fact that he's fat means he's doing a good enough job finding food for himself.
Yeah, he's probably eating the skinny one.
Third skinny one that he's watching.
Yeah. Has anybody done a head count on the kids lately? I'm wondering how many are actually left. Yeah.
It's that time of year again to get away. Say screw it to your job and everything you pretend is important to you. And just go live a life you would actually want for a week or two.
While still adhering to God's commandments. So, moderate expectations.
Set sail with Christ Cruises, the only Christian cruise experience that is not secretly a swingers convention.
We all know the typical cruise experience. Giant metal ship that's a floating hotel. A pool, even though you're already on the ocean. Alcohol and food and entertainment.
What a lovely cruise. To hell.
Amen. It's like my bracelet says, WCWJTTGA. What cruise would Jesus take to get away?
On Christ Cruises, you will sail the seas just like Jesus did, in a wooden fishing vessel the size of a FedEx truck with oars and a single square sail.
We'll set off from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and in just 3 weeks, we'll dock in Miami, Florida.
Assuming the Lord doesn't see fit to sink the ship,
which almost never happens,
your time will be filled with relaxing activities, such as learning how to fish like the disciples with net throwing.
You'll catch your own dinner and lunch and breakfast.
This one is great for the kids. Learn how to use hot tar to fix small holes in the hull of the ship.
Or learn how to use prayer to fix big holes in the hull of the ship.
And test your faith with walking on water classes.
If you're a real Christian, you'll be able to do it. That's why we don't have any life preservers.
If we're lucky, we'll get some bad weather, and you can try your hand at calming the seas.
And if we're unlucky, you won't be able to.
Remember, not a cruise for swingers.
Use promo code BSFA at checkout to get 10% more solid water for walking on.
Christ Cruises is only available in the continental United States, the only country to give us insurance for this idea. The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe Filled with 30 Linen Garments. Judges 13 begins with this. The Israelites again did what was evil in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord gave them into the hand of the Philistines 40 years. There was a certain man of Zorah, of the tribe of the Danites, whose name was Manoah. His wife was barren, having borne no children, and the angel of the Lord appeared to the woman and said to her, "Although you are barren, having borne no children, you shall conceive and bear a son. Now be careful not to drink wine or strong drink or eat anything unclean, for you shall conceive and bear a son. No razor is to come on his head, for the boy shall be a Nazirite to God from birth. It is he who shall begin to deliver Israel from the hand of the Philistines." And we talked about this before, like previously in the series, not just the last time we recorded this, that a Nazirite, you'll remember this from the book of Acts when Paul goes back to Jerusalem. All the Jewish people there are pissed off at him for reasons. And the way of like making amends with them is that he was going to bankroll, or they were very unclear if he was doing this or if he was just bankrolling other people who were Nazirites. So
are those the people who shave their heads?
Yeah, they're the people who shave their heads, but then they have to let it grow for a certain period of time.
Right. Okay.
Whatever period of time they said, like when they started.
Gotcha.
They kind of commit to letting the hair grow out for a certain time and not drink anything or strong drink. And all that stuff.
So,
and then I think they're also like super strict with dietary stuff. Yeah.
This baby's going to be born with no hair. and then it's just going to keep growing.
Right. He's never allowed to cut his hair.
Never allowed to cut it.
Yeah.
Also, it's very nice that the angel of the Lord has decided to start teaching women how to take care of themselves while they're pregnant.
Yeah, this is
finally.
This is like the most like prescient thing in the Bible is actually like don't drink while while pregnant.
Yeah, don't eat bad food.
Yeah,
don't drink. So, that's nice. It is also like, thanks for reminding me that I'm barren. Like, way to start that sentence.
He really lays into that.
You're barren.
Yeah.
Because you haven't had any children, in case you didn't know that already.
Yeah, because you're barren.
But somehow you are going to now.
Yeah.
And we're not going to say that this is an immaculate conception.
No.
Although, if you are barren, that means you cannot have children.
Right.
Not, until we say you can have children.
Yeah.
Like, her uterus is rotten. I'm going to say this. It could have been the dude's fault.
Right.
We don't know that.
Yeah. Maybe he was barren.
Yeah. Maybe his balls were rotten.
Right.
But it does sound like, obviously not like Jesus-y, but it's right up there.
It's a recurring theme for sure.
Didn't like Mary's aunt or something?
Yes. Yep.
Have the same situation?
Yeah, it was some relation. I don't think they were specific about it, but it was she ended up getting pregnant with John the Baptist.
Yes.
But that was like with her husband,
right.
But they made it possible.
Well, and that's what it sounds like here too.
Yeah, exactly the same.
Yeah.
Yep.
I wonder who this little boy is going to grow up to be.
The one who can't cut his hair. So this chapter gets really repetitive. This unnamed wife finds her husband and tells him we're actually caught up to where we were.
I know. This is all new to me.
Yeah, now we're actually to new stuff. Okay. So this chapter gets really repetitive. This unnamed wife finds her husband and tells him what the angel said. Quote, a man of God came to me and his appearance was like that of an angel of God, most awe-inspiring, unquote.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Then
be not afraid.
Yeah. Then the husband prays for God to send the angel again and tell him what to do. So the angel appears again.
I think we found out what the problem was and why they couldn't have kids.
Why?
He needed the angel to tell him what to do to get his wife pregnant.
Angel shows up
with
like a carrot and a donut.
It goes in the vagina. Yeah. The other one.
He's actually watching them do it.
The other hole.
No. Stop putting it in that hole. That's not. Oh, God. No, turn around. You were pointed the right way. Why are you upside down?
All right, you stand here. Give me your dick.
Yeah. And that angel was Lucifer. This was the straw that broke the camel's back for him.
Got back up to heaven and he was like, I had to touch a dude's dick today. Yeah. And I don't know, God, what you are doing with these people, but they are stupid. And I don't think it's fair that they're your favorites.
I'm here to talk to you about the need for sexual education. God's like, no. Oh, God. See, this is what it was like yesterday before. So anyway, so then, the husband puts his penis in.
Yeah. The angel tells him what to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the husband, even though the angel has just said what to do, the husband is like, please send an angel again to tell us what to do. So the angel appears again and literally just tells them the same thing again. But now he'll listen to it because it's coming from a dude angel. Probably.
Right. Yeah. Really, he was tired of having sex with his wife. Yeah. And he thought maybe this was just an elaborate hoax she made up so that he would continue to have sex with her. And so he's like, I need to hear it from the angel himself.
Right. Yeah. The husband asks if they can make him some food. The angel says he won't eat any food he makes, but he could offer a burnt offering to God.
Yeah.
Which is actually, that came up in the last.
Do you have any daughters?
No, that came up in the last episode too, when the angel was talking to Gideon.
Okay.
And I think Gideon was going to make him some food, and he was like, you could offer it to God.
Yeah, just burn it. And
and God was like, yeah. Then the husband asks what the angel's name is. Again, he doesn't know this guy is an angel, actually, at this point. Okay. He doesn't actually know he's an angel.
Right.
For some reason.
Even though they both, him and his wife, have said the word angel.
Well, his wife said that he was a man of God who was as if like he was an angel. Like, but she didn't say he was an angel.
Used to seeing dudes with lots of eyes.
Yeah.
Wings.
Yeah, this is one of the angels that for some reason looks like a human. Yeah. And then the angel says, why do you ask my name? It is too wonderful. And then we get this. So Manoah took the kid with the grain offering and offered it on the rock to the Lord, to him who works wonders. When the flame went up toward heaven from the altar, the angel of the Lord ascended in the flame of the altar, while Manoah and his wife looked on, and they fell on their faces to the ground. The angel of the Lord did not appear again to Manoah and his wife. Then Manoah realized that it was the angel of the Lord. And Manoah said to his wife, we shall surely die, for we have seen God. But his wife said to him, if the Lord had meant to kill us, he would not have accepted a burnt offering and a grain offering at our hands, or shown us all these things, or announced to us such things as these. The woman bore a son and named him Samson. The boy grew, and the Lord blessed him.
I really am starting to think that maybe he just didn't know how to have sex with his wife, because he is stupid.
Yeah, he's very thick.
He is stupid. Yeah. God's going to kill us now?
Yeah. And the fact that it took that much for him to realize that it was an angel.
Yeah, him going up in the pillar of smoke into the sky.
Yeah, and then God's like,
yeah. And then he thought about it for a little while and was like, oh, I guess that is an angel.
Yeah.
Oh my God, we're going to die now.
Why do I have a boner?
And his wife is like, oh, Christ.
Yeah.
No, honey, God wouldn't have taken our food and told us all these things. And then also said I was going to have a baby if he was going to kill us.
There's a reason why the angel went to her first.
Yeah.
He was really hoping he wouldn't have to deal with Manoah.
When they called him back, he was probably like, oh,
I really didn't want to talk to him.
Do I have to come back down there?
I'm going to have to touch his dick.
I know
I'm going to have to touch his dick.
It's going to be a whole thing.
Yeah. I have a note here that this chapter is a fucking fever dream. It's really weird.
Yeah, it sounds really weird compared to the rest of the only
what's
one
coming up is still gonna be even weirder.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
As I say, the only thing that's been as weird so far is the stabby and the fatty.
Yeah. So this is actually like probably the best story since then.
Okay.
You know, like the most colorful.
Yeah.
You know.
Sure.
But it's fucking weird.
Well, that's why it's the only story I know from the Book of Judges.
But there's a lot you
I'm sure there is.
Yeah, like there's a lot I completely forgot. Once Samson saw a Philistine woman. Then he came up and told his father and mother, I saw a Philistine woman, Timnah. Now get her for me as my wife. But his father and mother said to him, is there not a woman among your kin or among all our people that you must go and take a wife from the uncircumcised Philistines? But Samson said to his father, get her for me, because she pleases me. His father and mother did not know that this was from the Lord, for he was seeking a pretext to act against the Philistines. At that time, the Philistines had dominion over Israel.
What?
Thank God he never drank wine or ate unclean food, or he'd be a real douche.
Your Samson voice is super creepy.
Yeah. Well, he is super creepy.
Yeah. So so clearly some time has passed. He was born, and then we get the Jesus treatment where you skip a whole bunch of his life, and now he's old enough to be sexually attracted to a woman.
Right.
So he sees a woman, and now he just goes home and he's like, Mom, Dad, I saw a woman. Get her for me.
That's a much better voice.
Yeah.
I was going for
Patrick Bateman from American Psycho.
not exactly. What I was thinking of was Eric Moffat from SNL when he would do the guy who owns a boat on Weekend Update,
the boat douche guy.
Yeah. That guy is kind of where I started with.
Yeah.
And it evolves as the readings go on.
I see.
As we'll see. Yeah.
So, but him being douchey and creepy with this woman that he saw, that he doesn't want her just because she made his nether regions twitchy. Yeah.
She made my loincloth go boop.
It's because it's from God.
Yeah.
Because he needed a reason to be connected to the Philistines.
Because
the Philistines are ruling over them right now.
See, God is clearly not all powerful because he needs an in with how to go about destroying the Philistines.
Yeah, none of the other ones needed that.
Nope. Sodom and Gomorrah didn't need anything like that. He just fucking wiped them out.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, he's getting Samson into position.
Right. God is all of a sudden playing chess.
Right. Yeah. Out of nowhere.
For some reason. Yeah. It's the seventh seal.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's a weird thing. And even still, like, you'll see by the end of this, he didn't need to do any of this in order to get Samson. Like, this does not lead to him overthrowing the Philistines at all, or the Philistines, neither of them.
Berenstein.
Yeah. Then Samson went down with his father and mother to Timnah. When he came to the vineyards of Timnah, suddenly a young lion roared at him. The Spirit of the Lord rushed on him, and he tore the lion apart barehanded, as one might tear apart a kid. But he did not tell his father or his mother what he had done. Then he went down and talked with the woman, and she pleased Samson. After a while, he returned to marry her, and he turned aside to see the carcass of the lion. There was a swarm of bees in the body of the lion and honey. He scraped it out into his hands and went on, eating as he went. When he came to his father and mother, he gave some to them, and they ate it. But he did not tell them that he had taken the honey from the carcass of the lion. It's fucking weird, right?
So gross.
So I'll just remind our listeners that a kid
is a baby goat,
which I did not know until a couple episodes ago. So when he says tear apart the lion as you would a kid, that has a very different connotation.
Just because the lion roared at him.
Yeah.
They have lions in this part of the world.
They did. This was the only one.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
He leaves.
Yes. Comes back eventually.
At some point, and the carcass of the lion is still there, now with bees in it.
Yeah. So like obviously quite a bit of time, maybe months has gone by.
So it's probably just the bones.
Maybe. Yeah. At
this point, how long does it take a lion to decompose?
You know, I didn't happen to look that up for this episode. But
it gives you a whole new meaning to the phrase blood and honey.
Blood and honey? I've never heard that phrase.
Blood and honey?
No. Oh. I've heard of blood and water.
Blood and honey.
Yeah. Really weird. And really, like, all of that is just kind of to set up the next thing.
Were his parents not like, this honey tastes irony?
Tastes liony.
It tastes like iron, like blood, right?
Yeah.
Why is it pink?
Right.
Like.
Or why does it taste like a carcass?
Yeah. Why does it taste like rotten meat?
Yeah. And also, do bees often set up nests in dead animals?
Not that I'm aware of.
I don't think so.
I don't know anything about bees, but no, not in Michigan.
Yeah.
Maybe these bees from the Gaza Strip do? I don't know.
Yeah.
Are they the bees that make the mad honey? Is that what's going on here?
Right.
Because there is such a thing as honey that can make you hallucinate.
Yeah.
Is that what's going on here?
Probably. It would explain a lot of this.
It really would.
Yeah. His father went down to the woman, and Samson made a feast there, as the young men were accustomed to do. When the people saw him, they brought 30 companions to be with him. Samson said to them, "Let me put a riddle to you. If you can explain it to me within 7 days of the feast and find it out, then I will give you 30 linen garments and 30 festal garments. But if you cannot explain it to me, you shall give me 30 linen garments and 30 festal garments. So they said to him, ask your riddle, let us hear it. He said to them, out of the eater came something to eat. Out of the strong came something sweet. But for 3 days they could not explain the riddle. On the 4th day they said to Samson's wife, coax your husband to explain the riddle to us, or we will burn you and your father's house with fire. Have you invited us here to impoverish us? So Samson's wife wept before him, saying, you hate me. You do not really love me. You have asked a riddle of my people, but you have not explained it to me. He said to her, look, I have not told my father or my mother. Why should I tell you? She wept before him the 7 days that their feast lasted. And because she nagged him, on the 7th day, he told her. Then she explained the riddle to her people. The men of the town said to him on the 7th day before the sun went down, what is sweeter than honey? What is stronger than a lion? And he said to them, if you had not plowed with my heifer, you would not have found out my riddle. Then the Spirit of the Lord rushed on him, and he went down to Ashkelon. He killed 30 men of the town, took their spoil, and gave the festal garments to those who had explained the riddle. In hot anger, he went back to his father's house, and Samson's wife was given to his companion, who had been his best man. It's just hilarious watching your face through that roller coaster.
What a crazy fucking... First of all, that is not a riddle, because lion honey is not a thing.
No.
A riddle is something somebody can, if they think about it and are clever enough, can figure it out.
Right. It's a puzzle.
Because you found some bees in a fucking lion carcass doesn't make a riddle.
Yeah.
So first of all, did he make them this feast with the blood honey? He must have, right?
They don't say that.
Were they just all eating honey? It was the feast, just honey?
I don't think honey played into this at all. It's an interesting idea if that's like, that would at least give it some more context, right, and give it a reason to have it come up.
Right.
But, yeah.
So does his wife have a name?
No. She's unnamed.
Yeah. They talk about her a lot. They just didn't
name her.
Didn't give her a name at all.
Nope.
So she gets mad because she can't figure out the riddle.
She gets mad because they're going to burn her and her father's house down or whatever.
Well,
yeah.
Talk about an escalation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you have to give him 30 pieces of clothing.
60. Because it's 30 linen garments and 30 festal garments.
Ah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that will ruin them.
All right.
So apparently those are very expensive.
She nags him enough that he tells her. And then she tells them so she doesn't burn.
Yeah. And then he
gets mad because they plowed the field with his own heifer.
Yeah, which by the way,
his wife.
There's no way of saying that without ending up sounding like John Wayne a little.
Yeah.
So this is where John Wayne kind of enters into the Samson voice.
Okay.
If you had not plowed with my heifer, that is absolutely about his wife.
If my heifer wouldn't have told you, you wouldn't have figured it out.
This heifer I married.
Now I'm gonna go kill 30 people and then give them the clothes that.
Yeah, kills 30 people to get the 30 festal garments, and it only says festal garments. It doesn't say anything about the 30 linens.
So he kills people, gets the garments, and gives them to him, even though they didn't actually figure out the riddle themselves.
Yeah. And then his wife was given to his companion, who had been his best man.
So is that a divorce, or is he still married to her?
That's what's weird about this is like, we'll even see, because it's going to come up again. They don't abandon this, which is kind of the nice thing about this story is it's not like just, I mean, the lion will never come up again.
But the lion honey.
Yeah, but we do get a conclusion to what happens with his wife.
Okay.
After a while, at the time of the wheat harvest, Samson went to visit his wife, bringing along a kid. He said, I want to go into my wife's room, but her father would not allow him to go in. Her father said, I was sure that you had rejected her, so I gave her to your companion. Is not her younger sister prettier than she? Why not take her instead? Samson said to them, This time, when I do mischief to the Philistines, I will be without blame. So Samson went and caught 300 foxes and took some torches. And he turned the foxes tail to tail and put a torch between each pair of tails. Then he set fire to the torches, and he let the foxes go into the standing grain of the Philistines and burned up the shocks in the standing grain, as well as the vineyards and the olive groves. Then the Philistines asked, Who has done this? And they said, Samson, son-in-law of the Timnite, because he had taken Samson's wife and given her to his companion. So the Philistines came up and burned her and her father. Samson said to them, If this is what you do, I swear, I will not stop until I have taken revenge on you. He struck them down hip and thigh with a massive defeat, and he went down and stayed in the cleft of the rock of Edom. Again, when I read kid, I still...
You remind yourself that it's a baby goat.
Yeah, and so when he shows up with a kid, I'm thinking like,
I had this baby.
Yeah.
You got me pregnant.
This is your son.
Yeah. So he decided he wanted
Yeah, he wanted to get it on.
The last chapter made it sound like he gave his wife to his companion.
No, it's not that he did it. It was, and Samson's wife was given to his companion.
Oh.
Yeah, so it said right before that, the line says, in hot anger, he went back to his father's house, and Samson's wife was given to his companion. So it sounded like he pissed off, and his wife was like, well, he's mad at me. Probably, like, you fill in the gaps, and it kind of sounds like, well, he's mad at me. Her father is probably like, I'll just find you another husband.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's the guy you want to give another daughter to, right?
Right. Yeah.
That
who's
guy.
more beautiful.
Right.
Yeah.
That guy. But Samson doesn't even, like, what does he say after that? The voice you were using, I couldn't understand what you were saying.
This time when I do mischief to the Philistines, I will be without blame.
It will be without blame.
Yeah.
Okay, that was the part.
So basically he's saying, I'm going to wreak havoc on you guys.
Yay or nay to the younger daughter?
He doesn't go with the younger daughter.
Okay. So
that one does not please me.
He catches 300 foxes and puts them tail to tail.
Yeah.
And puts a torch in between their two tails?
That's what it sounds like, so
he ties their tails
together with torches.
And then he sets them loose, and somehow they don't just try to run away from each other because now there's fire.
And then they're on fire. It really is just hilarious. They need to make this movie, right?
I feel like this is our next shirt. Is just two cute little foxes with their tails tied to a torch in the middle.
Yeah. Samson in the background being all happy about himself.
300 foxes. That's how.
Like, I can see doing it once.
Yeah.
But doing it 300 times.
150.
Well, yeah, assuming it's only two.
Yeah.
That you're tying to a torch.
It's so weird.
Yeah. Like, why not just throw the torch?
I know. Or why not, just set the foxes on fire?
There's so many better ways to do this.
Their tails are kind of floofy.
It's such a weird way to go about setting a fire.
A couple arrows into the field would have done the trick, right? Flaming arrows. Instead, you murdered 300 foxes.
And again, he's Samson. He tore apart a lion like it was a kid.
How?
And, you could throw a torch pretty far.
Yeah. But instead, you tie it to a foxtail. One could only, it's not going to stand up.
Right, yeah.
It's just going to drag on the ground.
Yeah.
It'll go out immediately.
Right. Yeah.
We're back to the whole torch in the jar situation. Right. These are some magical fucking torches they had back in the day.
Yeah. They were like the candles on birthday cakes that don't go out.
Yeah. Just, no matter how hard you blow.
Yeah. Then the Philistines came up and encamped in Judah and made a raid on Lehi. The men of Judah said, "Why have you come up against us?" They said, "We have come up to bind Samson, to do to him as he did to us." Then 3,000 men of Judah went down to the cleft rock of Edom and said to Samson, "Do you not know that the Philistines are rulers over us? What have you done to us?" He replied, "As they did to me, so I have done to them." They said to him, "We have come down to bind you, so that we may give you into the hands of the Philistines." Samson answered them, "Swear to me that you yourselves will not attack me." They said to him, "No, we will only bind you and give you into their hands. We will not kill you." So they bound him with 2 new ropes and brought him up from the rock. When he came up to Lehi, the Philistines came shouting to meet him, and the Spirit of the Lord rushed on him, and the ropes that were on his arms became like flax that has caught fire, and the bonds melted off his hands. Then he found a fresh jawbone of a donkey, reached down and took it, and with it he killed 1,000 men. And Samson said, "With the jawbone of a donkey, heaps upon heaps. With the jawbone of a donkey, I have slain 1,000 men." When he had finished speaking, he threw away the jawbone, and that place was called Ramath Lehi. What's funny is like I think this was the reading when I was starting to regret using this voice. I was like, it doesn't really work anymore, but I've committed to it.
This is the first time you've attempted to do like a voice for, I mean, sometimes when you do women's voices in your readings, you'll soften your voice a little bit. But this is really the first time that you've really leaned into doing like a separate voice, like you're reading a children's story.
Like Joshua was very gravelly. Yeah. That was the most I got with
I just assumed you had a sore throat that day.
No, it was, he was a general, I was going for that. And by the way, that it happens to be the same voice as God, too.
Yes.
It just doesn't have the effect on him. This one, it ended up getting a little out of hand. Starts getting a little Zap Brannigan,
Yeah.
Like, I really like some velour. Picks up the jawbone of a donkey.
A fresh one.
Kills 1,000 men with it.
Yeah.
Which is
impossible.
Yeah. But then there was the other judge that had one line, Shamgar, I think, if I remember right. Or that's a cleaning product. I can't remember. Oh. But he killed like a few hundred people, not nearly as many, with ox goad.
Oh, yeah. At least that's a fucking stick with a pointy.
It's a pointy stick. Yeah.
Yeah. This is just a jawbone. It's not even like the most sharpest bone in the body.
Yeah. That's what makes it even more brutal. It's like killing 1,000 people with a spoon.
It's crazy.
Yeah. It's metal.
Spoilers, how is the hair thing for Samson the only part of this story that most people know?
Yeah, I know.
That's a story they tell children.
Yeah. Especially in the Jehovah's Witnesses.
But I don't remember hearing the rest of this story.
No, I know.
Yeah.
I completely forgot.
Because it's fucking weird.
Yeah. I mean, try explaining this to a kid.
Right. It's okay if a woman takes away your power. We'll tell you that story.
Right.
But the rest of this crazy fucked up shit where you tie foxes together and set fields on fire. We're going to leave that out.
It really is the better stuff, too.
It really is. I would much, as a kid, listen, I know everyone, especially in like the conservative Christian community, the hot thing these days is to protect the children. Right. I'm telling you right now, if you want to bring kids into Christianity, you need to make it as metal as fucking possible.
Right.
That's what's going to bring them in. They don't want to hear about some chick cutting this dude's hair and now he's weak. Yeah. They want to hear about him tying fucking foxes together and setting fields on fire and killing people with the jawbone of a donkey.
Yeah. But that's why people are also banning the Bible from the public schools now,
Fucking brutal.
Yeah. So another thing that's interesting, and this is going to come up again, is the bonds melting off of him, which is an interesting thing because it sounds like it's not a matter of strength so much as it is like
God's helping him out.
He's the Human Torch.
God's helping him out big time.
Yeah, but it's hot.
Yeah.
It's heat.
Right.
Like he's not actually strong. It's that he's hot.
Yeah, but I don't know that melts. Like
he's
I feel
going
like,
through the womanly change.
I feel like that's probably more likely a metaphor. They didn't actually melt.
I don't know. We'll see. It'll happen again.
Okay.
And they keep talking about it being a matter of like heat instead of strength.
Well, listen, dear listeners. Josh is a human furnace. And if anyone could set ropes on fire and make them melt off their bodies when they're sleeping, it's this guy right here.
Yeah. By then he was very thirsty. And he called on the Lord, saying, "You have granted this great victory by the hand of your servant. Am I now to die of thirst and fall into the hands of the uncircumcised?" So God split open the hollow place that is at Lehi, and water came from it, and he drank. When he drank, his spirit returned, and he revived. And he judged Israel's in the days of the Philistines 20 years. Apparently I pluralized Israel on that one. It was just this weird little passage.
God is helping this guy out a lot. Like, I know God did a lot for all the other judges too by helping them win battles, but it's very non-specific about how he helps them. God is really like stepping up for Samson.
Yeah.
Like, it's very specific about how God is helping him.
Yeah, he definitely shows up quite a bit. And
Suppose
this is the only one that's a Nazarite. So maybe, it does seem to be significant to God in the Old Testament. By the time you get to the New Testament, it's just a thing you do, like I don't know, mission trips or something. But, at this point, it seems to actually be favored by God. But love is blind, and so is Samson. Oh, yeah. And then some 30 reference. I realized I was trying to do a reference to 30 in all these titles, and I never did. So also 30. Once, Samson went to Gaza, where he saw a prostitute and went into her. The Gazites were told, "Samson has come here." So they circled around and lay in wait for him all night at the city gate. They kept quiet all night, thinking, "Let us wait until the light of morning. Then we will kill him." But Samson lay only until midnight. Then, at midnight, he rose up, took hold of the doors of the city gate and the 2 posts, pulled them up, bar and all, put them on his shoulders, and carried them to the top of the hill that is in front of Hebron. Picked up the gate, took it up a hill.
Why?
Yeah. And that's the last we'll hear of it.
So he went to Gaza, had a little fun with a prostitute.
Yep.
As they say, came into her.
Yep. Went into her. Yes.
Then came
into her. Maybe, we don't know.
And so the people,
maybe he practiced onanism.
The people in Gaza heard he was there, were laying in wait.
Yeah.
But what, fell asleep?
Well, they were waiting till dawn, it sounds like.
But I thought they had surrounded him.
Right, yeah.
So they surrounded him and then napped?
Yeah, it doesn't really, they were waiting, I guess maybe it was too dark for them to see.
No lookouts?
Yeah.
They didn't have any fox torches.
No, they didn't have any fox torches. God damn it, that's going to have to be an ad now. Do you need a good nightlight for your kids? Try Fox Torches by Samson.
So he gets up at midnight and then is like, I feel like I need to work out, and goes and fucking
lifts the gate.
And carries it up the hill.
Right.
Yeah.
Which it sounds like, it sounds like when they were writing this, there was a gate at the top of the hill in front of Hebron and nobody knew why. And so they just decided, it's because of, or like that's the tradition is that, Samson did that,
It just seems like a way to show again how strong he is.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, honestly.
Right.
What?
Sirens.
I don't know what to tell you, but I can't hear anything.
Oh. Anyway.
I have terrible hearing. Gone. I could, if they had a smell, I could smell them. So they must not be a fire.
No. The sirens have a smell?
I said if they have a smell, I could smell them. My hearing is terrible, but my smelling sense is
That's a weird form of synesthesia you've got there.
I can smell the sirens.
I can't hear the sirens, but I can smell them.
I don't think it's weird. I think that's exactly what synesthesia is.
You never hear about that kind of synesthesia, though.
Smelling sounds.
Yeah. Anyway, after this, he fell in love with a woman in the valley of Sorek, whose name was Delilah. The lords of the Philistines came to her and said to her, "Coax him and find out what makes his strength so great, and how we may overpower him, so that we may bind him in order to subdue him. And we will each give you 1,100 pieces of silver." So Delilah said to Samson, "Please, tell me what makes your strength so great, and how you could be bound so that one could subdue you." Samson said to her, "If they bind me with 7 fresh bowstrings that are not dried out, I shall become weak and be like anyone else." Then the lords of the Philistines brought her 7 fresh bowstrings that had not dried out, and she bound him with them. While men were laying in wait in an inner chamber, she said to him, "The Philistines are upon you, Samson." But he snapped the bowstrings as a strand of fiber snaps when it touches the fire, so the secret of his strength was not known.
Are you like auditioning to read books for Audible or something?
Fuck no.
It feels like you're really getting into it in sort of like a book on tape.
I am, but I'm not delusional. I know I'm not good at it.
I've heard worse.
Yeah, I mean, I have too, but that doesn't mean I'm good at it. But it was weird with Delilah because it was like, I don't know how to read this. And like she's just straight up asking, like, how can I kill you? Yeah. Basically.
Josh, what are you severely allergic to?
Just curious.
And
just curious.
What happens if you consume those things?
Yeah.
Just asking for a friend.
Right. Who doesn't mean you any ill will.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then she's even like, the Philistines are upon you. You know, like.
Right.
What the fuck is going on with this?
So he lied and said
he lied. Yeah.
That these strings can bind me. So she did it.
Yeah.
And he wasn't like, why are you doing this? Or was he like, try it? I guess I don't really understand what's happening here.
And the lords of the Philistines brought her 7 fresh bowstrings that had not dried out, and she bound him with them. Yeah. So this one actually, okay. So later on, she binds him when he's asleep. This one doesn't sound like he might be asleep. He might not be.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess she might have just been like, maybe they were being kinky.
I was going to say, like, where does their relationship go after that? When he tells her, when he lies to her and tells her what can bind him, and then she does it, how do you come back from that?
Right.
If you say you're allergic to almonds, and I'm like, here's some milk.
And it turns out it's almond milk.
And it's almond milk, and then you don't die.
Yeah.
How do you not come back and be like, did you try to kill me?
Right. Yeah. And this, I would bet that, religious folks would say, well, it's his ignorance.
Well, yeah.
It's his arrogance.
Oh, it's both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's his arrogance of
his ignorant arrogance.
Yeah. It's his arrogance
of
penis. Yeah. Saying like, there's nothing you're going to do.
Well, he clearly loves vagine.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah.
Like,
it's kind of funny because as I was reading this, I kept thinking like, and this is Delilah. Oh, no, they never give her a name. And then they go to the prostitute. I was like, oh, I guess this is Delilah. Nope, that's not her either.
Yeah. Loves it.
Yeah.
Loves it. Pounding it out everywhere he goes.
Seems to keep getting betrayed by women too.
Yeah.
Like they even use the same word here. I mean, in English, I didn't check the Hebrew, but here they say coax him when they're telling her, to find out, coax him. And they use the same term to suss out the riddle. Coax him to tell you the riddle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which means blowjob.
Yes.
So it's a good thing though. He tested her and all that and saw that she is nefarious and everything. So he's not going to fall for this again, right? You know?
Okay.
Yeah. Then Delilah said to Samson, "You have mocked me and told me lies. Please tell me how you could be bound." He said to her, "If they bind me with new ropes that have not been used, then I shall become weak and be like anyone else." So Delilah took new ropes and bound him with them and said to him, "The Philistines are upon you, Samson." The men lying in wait were in an inner chamber, but he snapped the ropes off his arms like a thread. Then Delilah said to Samson, "Until now you have mocked me and told me lies. Tell me, how can you be bound?" He said to her, "If you weave the 7 locks of my head with the web and make it tight with the pin, then I shall become weak and be like anyone else." So while he slept, Delilah took the 7 locks of his head and wove them into the web and made them tight with the pin. Then she said to him, "The Philistines are upon you, Samson." But he awoke from his sleep and pulled away the pin, the loom, and the web. Then she said to him, "How can you say, 'I love you,' when your heart is not with me? You have mocked me 3 times now and have not told me what makes your strength so great." Finally, after she had nagged him with her words day after day and pestered him, he was tired to death. So he told her his whole secret and said to her, "A razor has never come upon my head, for I have been a Nazarite to God from my mother's womb. If my head were shaved, then my strength would leave me. I would become weak and be like anyone else."
How can anyone listen to this story and interpret it as like a woman stole his power? He's a fucking idiot.
Well,
and
yeah.
she is too.
Yeah.
They're both idiots.
Yeah.
I don't think God and the Israelites are the Amber Heard Johnny Depp situation. I think this is the Amber Heard Johnny Depp situation.
Right.
And
It's definitely the Sin Nancy.
like, she's upset because he keeps lying to her on how to help kill him. And he's not like, "Why are you trying to kill me?"
Right, yeah.
And eventually she wears him down to the point where he tells her,
"Fucking fine if you want to kill me so bad."
I mean, this is the second time this has happened too. Like,
right.
Clearly the way to get Samson to tell you the truth is to literally just keep asking him the same question over and over and over again. And eventually
that's his true weakness.
He's so irritated.
It's nagging. It's just fucking nagging him
Any
to
man
death.
who's married knows that's fucking true. Am I right?
Not at all, sweetheart. Yeah, it's so fucking weird. And like, who fucking knows what's going on with the whole web thing? The web and
it's
pin.
Weird. I mean, it sounds
know.
like it's weaving. Something having to do with weaving.
Probably
they mentioned
doily.
the loom. Yeah.
It's interesting that they talk about, I think this comes up again, the 7 locks of his, like, this seems like it was another magical element to this, is that he had 7 locks of hair or something like that.
Is it like, do he have like bald spots in between?
Or I wonder if it was like, because it's really long, no razor has ever been on his head. I wonder if he had like dreadlocks.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, could be.
Might have been the thing.
Yeah. So they didn't tell him, they said no razor, but they also didn't say you can wash your hair.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. They never said this was like beautiful hair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's always been presented that way, though.
Right.
That it's been this gorgeous head of hair.
Yeah.
But I feel like you're probably right that it is probably like dreadlocks. Yeah.
Which makes sense. I mean, it sounds like he just roams the countryside.
Yeah.
Like killing people with jawbones and shit. Yeah.
Yeah. Now I'm picturing
it's all
Brendan
his dried
Fraser from the beginning of Encino Man.
It's all his dried blood in his hair. I also never shower, just in case. Then Delilah realized that he had told her his whole secret. She sent and called the lords of the Philistines, saying, "This time come up, for he has told his whole secret to me." Then the lords of the Philistines came up to her and brought the money in their hands. She let him fall asleep on her lap, and she called a man and had him shave off the 7 locks of his head. He began to weaken, and his strength left him. Then she said, "The Philistines are upon you, Samson." When he awoke from his sleep, he thought, "I will go out as at other times and shake myself free." But he did not know that the Lord had left him. So the Philistines seized him and gouged out his eyes. They brought him down to Gaza and bound him with bronze shackles, and he ground at the mill in the prison, but the hair on his head began to grow again after it had been shaved.
Yeah, like as hair does.
Yes, as hair is known to do.
Yeah. So they gouged.
I wonder if they cut off his eyebrows.
His pubic hair, which is also in 7 locks.
Longer than his dick. Yeah.
Here's the twist. You cut the wrong hair.
Right.
It's cock hair that really gives him his strength. She's a rich bitch now, yeah?
Yeah, so she's obviously going to be doing pretty well for herself.
Yeah. Is that it?
No.
Do we hear more from her?
Oh, from her? No.
Yeah, that's the end of Delilah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Presumably she might be there at the end, but we don't know.
Right.
Really. They never call it out. So
listen, I have a controversial opinion about this story. I don't feel bad for Samson.
Yeah, I don't either. No.
I feel like
I don't think anybody does, actually. I honestly don't. Like, I don't think he's considered a heroic figure.
I don't know, man. The interpretation of the story that I've always been taught is that he was this strong figure that got weakened and defeated because of a woman.
Yeah. But I think if you're somebody who actually read the Bible verses, there's no way you're reading this and thinking he's a good person.
I hope so.
I really don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think they're coming at it from that perspective, but it is, they do see it as a redemption story for, what comes next.
Right. Okay.
But,
so he's grinding at the mill.
Yes. In the
blind.
prison. Yes. Because his eyes have been gouged out.
Yeah. Okay.
Now the lords of the Philistines gathered to offer a great sacrifice to their god, Dagon, and to rejoice. For they said, "Our God has given Samson, our enemy, into our hand." When the people saw him, they praised their God. For they said, "Our God has given our enemy into our hand, the ravager of our country, who has killed many of us." And when their hearts were merry, they said, "Call Samson and let him entertain us." So they called Samson out of the prison, and he performed for them. They made him stand between the pillars, and Samson said to the attendant who held him by the hand, "Let me feel the pillars on which the house rests, so that I may lean against them." Now the house was full of men and women. All the lords of the Philistines were there. And on the roof there were about 3,000 men and women who looked on while Samson performed. Then Samson called to the Lord and said, "Lord God, remember me and strengthen me only this once, O God, so that with this one act of revenge, I may pay back the Philistines for my 2 eyes." And Samson grasped the 2 middle pillars on which the house rested, and he leaned his weight against them, his right hand on the one and his left hand on the other. Then Samson said, "Let me die with the Philistines." He strained with all his might, and the house fell on the lords and all the people who were in it. So those he killed at his death were more than those he had killed during his life. Then his kindred and all his family came down and took him and brought him up and buried him in the tomb of his father Manoah. He had judged Israel 20 years. So
how do you think that he was performing for them?
I really don't know.
What does that mean?
I know. Like, was he dancing?
Right.
Was he like the world's first blind magician?
Were they literally just like, hey, Samson, over here. And they try to wander away and they'd run and be like, no, over here.
They're playing Marco Polo
with him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's Hercules.
It really bothers me, though, that they didn't lay out what that was.
Right.
But yeah. So funny you mentioned Hercules. Similarities to Hercules. Exceptional strength.
Yep.
Divine births.
Yep.
Both of them. Hercules was, after all, a half god.
Mm-hmm.
Killing a lion.
Mm-hmm.
Hercules killed the Nemean lion. Both betrayed by women. Hera makes Hercules go crazy and kill his family. And then Samson is betrayed by women twice.
Right.
Actually. Dead wives. They both have dead wives. Redemption in death. Hercules was made a god at the end.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously Samson.
Don't know if you remember the Disney version of Hercules, but he also knocks down a bunch of pillars.
Does he?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I don't know.
The cartoon movie. Yeah.
I don't know.
I
if
barely remember that movie.
Canon.
Yeah.
Or if Disney made it up, but there's this whole thing when he's young and he just knocks down a bunch of pillars in like one of those buildings that are only held up by pillars.
Right. Like this building.
Yeah.
I don't know if that is the case with that in actuality, but yeah, very similar.
Sure.
To the point where it wouldn't be far-fetched if this character was based on the legend of Hercules.
Yeah, there's enough difference that it's clearly not like a one-for-one ripoff.
No, yeah.
Because there was nothing with...
It might be like influenced.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, crushed in the building with everybody else.
Right. And he took out all the Philistines. Therefore, it's a redemption story.
It's a redemption story.
It's redemption through murder.
Yeah. And suicide.
Through mass murder and suicide. Because isn't suicide supposed to be a sin?
I mean, they say
isn't
it is.
It a carnal sin?
They say it is.
Isn't it like a hell-worthy thing to do?
Is that just Catholicism that believes that, or is it not Christian? Like, did you learn that it was a sin?
I mean, yeah. Okay. It's definitely a sin. Catholics are a little weird with it because they're weird about it. Because it's like if you commit suicide, then you're definitely going to hell type of thing. Is my understanding of it. Like you're definitely,
which makes no sense. But
according to Constantine, the movie,
there are religions where committing suicide in the name of their God is reward worthy.
Yeah, you're a martyr.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and even really, that's not a martyr. Suicide isn't really
a martyr. A martyr is somebody who is killed.
Yeah, for their God.
Yeah, like Joan of Arc.
Thing. And that's the story.
That's the story of Samson.
That's the story of Samson.
Wow, it was really fucking weird.
Yeah.
Really weird.
I know, right?
Super,
the lion.
Super weird.
And the honey, all the ladies.
The fox torches.
The fox torches.
That's the thing, that the blood honey and the fox torches. That's really...
Those are going to be the things that you really take away from this.
That is really what I'm going to be... The next time somebody talks about the Bible and how much they love it, I'm going to be like, what do you feel about fox torches? And the blood honey.
Right.
Let's talk about those things.
Yeah.
And I hope they say, what are you talking about?
Right.
So then I can be like, what do you mean?
You aren't reading your Bible.
What do you mean? What are you talking about? Those are actually awesome things to remember about the Bible.
Those are the more colorful pieces. And he did all this within 20 years.
Yeah, he seems like a big dumb lug of a man who doesn't learn from his own mistakes.
Yeah.
And somehow he's God's champion.
Right. This is what God needed his help with the whole time, was to kill everybody in this building.
Doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't. God could have literally just stirred up a big wind.
Yeah.
And knocked that building over, probably,
Right.
Or they're very good architects, but it doesn't sound like it because only 2 pillars is what it took to take the whole place down.
Yeah, they were right next to each other. It's not even like they were strategically placed like across from each other or something.
Yeah. So that's it. That's kind of the judges. I don't think the people coming up in the next part are going to be judges.
Okay. But there's still more to the book of Judges?
Yeah, there's the conclusion, the thrilling conclusion.
I don't know that it can be thrilling.
I know.
After this story. This is just where it should have ended.
Yeah, this is definitely the peak. Yeah, this
and that says a lot.
This and Ehud, the guy,
fat stabber.
Yeah, those were
the fat stabber and the fox catcher.
Story.
Do you think that the guy that owned that wasn't his estate called Fox Catcher? Do you think he named it after Samson?
I doubt it.
He was very weird, just like Samson.
He was very weird. Not in the same way Samson was, though. No. Yeah. The I would imagine that was probably because they like to go fox hunting.
I guess that makes sense. Well, so did Samson.
Yeah, apparently. So fucking, I just can't get around. Like, why?
It's very weird.
It's so convoluted. It sounds like a prank, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it's not even.
Where was he keeping the foxes while he was catching 300 of them?
Were they watching while he tied the other ones? Did they know what was coming?
Do foxes have rabies? How did he had to have gotten bitten. There's no way foxes are just
He's too strong for rabies.
Letting them catch. I mean, had he gotten rabies, that would kind of explain the whole rest of the story.
That's true. Yeah. Explains why he was so thirsty.
Right?
Why probably drooling a lot.
Why he couldn't discern that his lady was trying to kill him.
Right, yeah. Hyper-aggression.
Yeah. I think we just figured out that Samson had rabies. Right.
That's real. It had nothing to do with him getting his hair cut.
No.
That's just coincidental.
He just had it finally just took him.
Yeah.
And he managed to summon up some sort of crazy, adrenaline fueled strength at the very end.
Right. I think that's it.
That's it. That's all we got. Third time's the charm.
Yeah. Finally. All right. With that, they all lived miserably after.
You have to do it in your Samson voice.
With that, they all lived miserably ever after. Thank you so much for checking out our podcast. Help us share the good news by sending this to a friend or leaving a review to help others find us. And if you want to support us with a donation, you can do that on our website at bsfa.cc. Yeah, I can't believe we got through this whole thing without one single Schwarzenegger reference.
Yeah. The Samsonator.
Okay. Title for this.
My first thing was what does the fox say? And then you'd be like, ah!